This is Mrs. Naslund, and today we'll be doing Unit 6, Lesson 2, Measure Area. Our learning target for today is, I can identify and use metric units of area. So our vocab for today will be square unit, square meter, square centimeter, square millimeter, square decimeter, and square kilometer. And just like we talked about area earlier in the year, area when we're looking at the metric system is very, very similar. Just the units that we use are a little different. So let's go ahead and do this, this page together. It says metric units of area. Area is measured in square units, such as square meters. This is 1 square centimeter. The question is, why is it called a square unit? So if we look at this, this is square centimeters. If we measured this, this would be 1 centimeter, and this would also be a centimeter. And when we get square centimeters, we think about our base times our height. And they wanted to know, why is it called a square unit? Well, each set of the square is the same length and is 1 unit long. So basically, if I take this times this, it's 1 unit long each, and it's a square in both, it's equal length on both sides. This square centimeter is divided into square millimeters. All right, so this is 1 centimeter, and there's a lot of millimeters in here. If you can even see, there's these little boxes, and those are each boxes of 10. So there's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. There's 100 boxes in there. Okay, 100 little teeny boxes. So the centimeter can be divided into 100 square millimeters. Okay, 100 square millimeters. And if we think back to that chart that we used the other day, it's the same conversion, except we're multiplying the base times the height to figure out how many are in there. Now, this array of square centimeters, so these are all the centimeters, right? Centimeter by centimeter, is a square decimeter. Okay? So there's 100 of these centimeter squares in here to make 1 square decimeter. And they want to know how many square centimeters are in this decimeter. So how many of these little boxes are there? So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and there's 10 this way. So how many boxes are in there total? You said 100 square centimeters. You are right on. Now this is the big question. How many square millimeters are in 1 square decimeter? So how many little teeny squares are in this huge block? So remember, there's 100 per one of these, right? So 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. How many would that be? So one way to think about it, if we have the 100 here, right, and 100 here, and 100 here, and 100 here, we've got this whole line. 100 times 10 is going to give me 1,000, right? So there's 1,000 in this row, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 square millimeters fit into that decimeter. Okay? How many square decimeters are in 1 square meter? All right, to figure this one out, we're going to jump ahead and look at a little chart here, because we're trying to figure out how many square decimeters are in 1 square meter. So we're going to jump ahead, and this should look familiar because we used this the other day. But we want to know how many decimeters, square decimeters, not just decimeters, square decimeters are in 1 meter. So I've got my 1 meter, and I jump 1 over, and it says times 100. And if you remember before, it said times 10. But the difference is we're trying to find the square decimeter. So if we do 10 times 10, we get that 100. So in 1 meter, there are 100 decimeters. All right, so in 1 meter, there's 100 decimeters. And there we go, square decimeters. How many square centimeters are in 1 square meter? How do you know? So let's go back to that chart again. And we want to know in 1 square meter, how many centimeters are there? So we're going 2 steps. Okay, 2 over, and we see this right here, and we see that it's 100 times 100. Okay, 100 times 100, which ends up being 10,000 square centimeters. So in 1 meter, there are 10,000 square centimeters. So you can see that that's a huge number that we're looking at when we're talking about the square area of a shape. Okay, good. Now in this one it says measure area. Mrs. Juarez students want to find the area of parts of their school. So again, we're not just finding how far away something is, we're trying to find the area of it. What measurements does Mrs. Juarez students need to find the area of the hallway between the stairs and the library? So if we want to find this whole area, what measurements would we need to take? So one measurement we know we're going to need to take is the length from the stairwell all the way to the library. That's one measurement. What do you think the second measurement is? If you said the distance between in the hallway, that is correct. Okay, so not only do we want the length of the hallway, but we want the width of the hallway. And what do we need to do with their measurements to find the area? If I wanted to find the area of that, what would I have to do to calculate that? And if you said multiply them, you'd be right on, because we'd want to do the length times the width, and then we'd be able to figure out the area of this hallway. Great job. All right, so now we're going to come back to our conversion chart we used yesterday. But remember, we're talking about square units today. But let's look at the first question. It says, how many meters long is each side of a square that has an area of 4 square meters? So we know the area, and I drew this little box to help us. We know the area of this square is 4. The question is, how do we get that area? They want to know how long each side is. So remember, to find the area of a square, we're going to do base times height. So what times what gives us 4? If you said 2, you're right on. 2 meters. We'd have to go 2 times 2 would give us this 4 square meters. Now, how many 1 meter squares cover a square that has an area of 4 square meters? So I'm going to draw a new picture here. Another square, and we want to know what the area would be of this square. It says there's 4 square meters, so I'm going to divide it into 4 squares, and we want to know how many 1 meter squares would fit into that space. And all I'm going to do is, I know that this is a 2 by 2. Remember, we said 2 meters, so this is 2 meters. 1, 2, 1, 2. So how many squares total do we have? We've got 4 1 meter squares. 1, 2, 3, 4 fit into that that area, that 4 square meter area. Now, number 13. How many meters long is each side of the square that has an area of 4 square kilometers? Okay, so first I want you to notice we're in kilometers, and we want to solve it in meters. So a good strategy is to move from kilometers into those meters first. All right, so first let's move from square kilometers to meters. So I'm going to write my 4, and I'm going to find kilometers, and I want to get down to meters. So it's 1, 2, 3 steps. I'm going to add my 3 steps. 1, 2, 3, add my zeros. So I end up with 4,000 square kilometers. Let's read the question really carefully, because it says, how many meters long is each side? Square kilometers is the area of the inside. So it's just like up here. This 4,000 is the area of my box. This is a square. It may not be perfect. Pretend it is. And I got to think about what these sides would be in order to get 4,000. What do I have to multiply? Base times height to get 4,000. Up here it was 2. It's not going to be 2 here. That's way bigger than that. It's going to be a total of 2,000, right? 2,000 times 2,000 would give me my 4,000. So it's 2,000 meters is each side. Now, how many 1 meter squares cover a square that has an area of 4 square kilometers? All right, now for this one, we're going to use this other chart up here to help us. It says, how many 1 meter squares cover a square that has an area of 4 square kilometers? So I find my kilometers, my thing here, and we want to move to meters. And it says 1 square kilometer is equal to 1 million square meters. So that's only 1, and if I change this to 4, if I have 4 square kilometers, I'm going to do 1 million plus 2 million plus 3 million, and we get 4 million square kilometers. There we go. 1 meter square, sorry. 4 million 1 meter squares would fit into that space. All right, so this last question says, how is a square measurement unit like a square number in multiplication? And the answer is, when we're multiplying a square unit, it's basically multiplying a number by itself. So like if this is a square unit and this is 2, this is going to be 2, 2, right? Because it's a square. Each side is the same. When we do a square number, we multiply the number by itself. So that's how they're similar to each other. So today we looked at converting among square units. We measured the area in the metric system. And now you're going to have a chance to practice on your homework and remembering. Great work.